Hello, my friends. Unfortunately, there is not video footage of me performing some of my best slam poetry, so I have settled for making you a home video of some of my poems in my own kitchen. So bear with me as I recite for you the poem called The Absence of X-Chromosomes. The church assembly looks offensively monochromatic to those of us who are of the fairer sex, and scripture feels offensively didactic when we're reading about women in the church, but when we're using culture to analyze scripture, of course we're going to be offended by what we read, and when we're using culture to shape the assembly, shouldn't we expect this constant internal trembling? We're avoiding the imploring voice that leaves us the choice of confession or digression into conversations that end a little more favorably. There's this reverberating question: why don't women serve on the table? Why aren't we able to teach, speak, read scripture, or pray? Well, I have to say that we're not targeting the root of the problem. See, because whoever controls the present controls the past, and while the past is the past, it's tightly fastened to the present. It's incredibly relevant to what we're doing here. The past defines the future if you can't move past the past, and I've found in life that the church's glass ceiling is one it's constructed for itself. We're so concerned with appealing to culture and racking up numbers, we're attacking ourselves, tearing the body asunder for the means to our own defined end. The future looms on the approaching horizon as I'm still sizing up the cold, aloof past. The problem isn't with hearts resistant to changing women's place in the assembly. It's with how we do the assembly on a week-to-week basis. It's hard for me to face church sometimes, for when I look at what we're doing, I ultimately find that we're not quite living up to our calling. In a world where our churches can't seem to stay subversive, can't seem to figure out worship, can't seem to get stewardship, but we're definitely on a power trip, can't seem to do relationships right, but we'll fight for what we think is right to the death, can't seem to be peaceful, can't seem to be respectful, and our methods are unacceptable because we can't seem to understand that the situation is worse than we think. People are running in the blink of an eye each time we open the church house doors. They'd rather dive into the raging ocean of our culture, washing up on the shores of uncertainty, lukewarmness, and I'm absolutely floored by our blindness to this sickness. We'd rather argue about women's role than seek out the souls that are fleeing the church. Here's one example. Maybe if we could learn how to serve the Lord's Supper the right way, the lines and shades of women's role would cease to be ambiguously gray. Silence, heads bowed, no eye contact, and heaven forbid we should make one sound while we celebrate the Lord's Supper. No confession, no conversation, and we've turned what should be a celebration into an individualized, selfish affair. The next time the Lord's Supper is about me and my thoughts, that's when I'll be wrought with conviction about the way we do this ritual. No. This women's role issue will continue to be a point of contention until we get some more basic things right. How we read scripture, the Lord's Supper, pastoral care, the way we share the gifts that we have, hospitality, and perhaps the reality of loving the way Jesus loved all of humanity. This isn't about women's rights. It's about what's right for the kingdom now. Maybe if we could embody the kingdom tangibly, women's role would cease to be an issue at all.